That is a PNG of Garo sliding down the hill. Oh my goodness. Like, we gotta replay that. We gotta really get, like, a close-in shot of that real quick. Like, you gotta see this, how this actually looks. So, yeah, they actually put a low-quality PNG of Garo sliding down the hill. They couldn't be bothered to not just animate his legs, they couldn't even be bothered to use CGI, but if they wanted to emphasize that he's sliding down without walking, they could have put maybe some grass distortion underneath him and behind him, maybe some wind effect. Hell, they could have done a sound effect. But the fact that they did none of those showcases just how many corners are being cut with the One Punch Man anime. Now, I want to be completely honest here. If this was the only scene that had a problem in this episode, I would honestly not care. I would overlook the scene, I might meme on it briefly, which, by the way, speaking of memes, there's already memes of this being made, which I think really just showcases the conversation around this episode. But with that being said, though, if this was the only scene that kind of looked like it had corners cut around its art animation, I would not really talk too much about it. But the fact that you have the opening of the episode begin like this, I think really is just telling. Like, I'm gonna play it. Like, the episode literally starts off, after the opening song, by the way, with this still frame, paneling down with a voiceover, and at first it might not seem too bad, because still frames are common within anime, and obviously sometimes they can last 5 or so seconds. But this entire sequence with this voiceover lasts for 40 seconds. And once again, 40 seconds isn't too much. But when you factor in the episode length of it being 20 minutes long, okay? 20 minutes of footage, okay? And you have multiple scenes kind of similar to this, then it starts to add up into minutes upon minutes long, to where most of the episode is just not even animated. And the fact that the opening of episode 2 is literally the scene of just still frames and panning over the still frame, and when the characters are doing a voiceover, like here, I'll even play it, the characters doing a voiceover, you hear them talking on like the radio or speaker, they can't even be bothered to add movement. There's not even CGI people in the background moving or anything. It's just literally a voiceover with no character animation. And it would be so simple to bring something like this to life. It is so simple to be able to do something like this. But when you see a scene like this in the opening sequence of your episode, it's not a good look. And here's the thing, there is a lot of people that are actually praising this episode. A lot of people are saying that One Punch Man Season 3 is saved. It is amazing. It is much better. It is not bad anymore. And I'm gonna be honest, I completely disagree with that statement, and I will get into my full reasons in a moment. But the point is that this opening sequence is not a good look, especially for any episode of anime when it starts like this, especially for a series that is already being heavily criticized for lack of movement or lack of movement in animation for its first episode. And I think one of the obvious examples is this right here. Like, if you look very closely, you literally see these kids that are throwing rocks. They keep throwing the same rock over and over again. Like, look very closely. Like, you can just see that the rocks don't even change. There's not rocks even being removed from the hand. You can literally just see them grabbing the same rock. It's the same repeated art and animation over and over again for the sequence. And there is multiple times throughout this episode with the exact same thing, the same animation art on loop over and over. And this starts to add up throughout the entire episode. Like, there's moments that look legitimately good. Like, this Garo segment doesn't look too bad. But once again, you can still tell that it lacks a lot of, like, movement. Like, for instance, you have, like, the breathing scene right there. It's just a zoom-in shot with a brief little breathe segment. And then you see the scene with Saitama do the exact same thing, and then they do a zoom in on his face. There is clearly a lot of corners being cut, and they're trying to do any way they possibly can to limit the animation anywhere they possibly can. And that is very concerning. A lot of people have decided to say, okay, Chibi, the reason why they're doing this is because they want to save their time and budget and all that for the important scenes, like the art and animation. A lot of people are heavily coping with episode 1 and episode 2 of One Punch Man Season 3 by saying that the reason why there's such limited animation for these segments is because they're wanting their staff to focus on important priority segments of the series. And I'm thinking to myself, first off, that's pretty disrespectful. You're pretty much saying that majority of One Punch Man is not important, and the only thing that legitimately is important is the action sequences. That right there just feels very disrespectful because of the character acting and interactions you can have with the individual characters. I feel that's extremely disrespectful, because there is a lot of series that are slice of life or action based that have slice of life moments that look absolutely incredible. And obviously different teams, different studios, yada yada yada, but it does not change the fact. Just using the statement of, oh, they're only focusing on the important scenes or things that matter, I just feel inherently is disrespectful to the material. That's my takeaway on the matter. Now, let's actually look at the scenes that apparently people are saying is important to One Punch Man. So there is a scene at the end of the episode that actually doesn't look too bad. It is this entire segment here where we have a fight. Our first actual fight in the episode of One Punch Man Season 3. And this entire sequence, I'm not going to lie, it looks really good. I wouldn't say it's anything that blows my mind. I would dare not put it in the same ballpark as One Punch Man Season 2 or Season 1. I obviously cannot compare it to Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man or anything like that. And once again, I know it's completely different studios, but I think it is fair to compare this with Season 2 of One Punch Man. And I feel like the movement quality of this scene does reach into a similar tier, close to One Punch Man Season 2, but I still feel like it is just shy of reaching that level of art and animation consistency and quality. And a lot of people are using this entire scene here that only lasts for about a minute at most, and using it as a way to defend this entire episode, and to defend and throw away any other critique that, you could have with this episode. And I feel like that is such a bad thing to do with this show. And let me give a very good analogy. You have a plate of shit and cake put in front of you. 90% of it's shit. 10% is delicious cake that you will absolutely love. Are you telling me you're going to eat that entire plate of shit and cake because 10% of it is good cake that you like? That is basically how I view this episode of One Punch Man. Is that majority of the episode is very limited, lacking in movement, it's not inspiring, it feels average to below average in many different areas, and One Punch Man does not deserve that. It deserves the same love and attention, not just at Season 2, God, but what modern action shows get. And as I've already said prior, One Punch Man is a dead ringer for a runaway success. It is an action series that is in a culture right now, in a community that wants a lot of action-orientated shows. Soul Leveling, Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen. Enough examples right there. And the fact that they can't even deliver fully to reach even a similar tier and realm of those, I think is pretty concerning. Now, once again, this is our first real look at action, and it's, like I said, it's not bad. But if you have to wade through absolute shit on a plate to be able to get to maybe 1% good, that doesn't mean the anime is saved and the anime is good. No. It's very obvious that the staff that's working on One Punch Man does not have a lot of time to do everything they want. And I've already went on record in last week's episode review that I don't blame the staff. I'm not blaming the director. I'm not blaming the animators for what is going on here. I am blaming the production committee. I'm blaming the head honchos at top that did the scheduling, that forced this out like it did. It's very obvious that One Punch Man needed to be cooked longer, but it was not given enough time. And it's just, this is a very good example of a series that could have been so successful, but it's not probably going to be. The fact that there is a lot of mixed opinions and a negative conversation around the series, not even talking about my conversation around it, I think says enough. That there should not even be a lot of negativity about One Punch Man Season 3, because this is fundamentally one of the best arcs of the entire manga, and the fact that you already have this type of conversation around it is concerning. It's damning, and it's not a good look. It's not. And it really kind of irritates me to a degree that people are willing to eat absolute shit to just watch a 1-minute segment that is kind of halfway decent. I mean, it's not bad, but I've seen so much better, even just from One Punch Man alone. And I'm just like, yeah, not good. It's really not good. People are really coping, man. They're really coping and hoping that this is going to get better. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. When you have stuff that adds up with all these still frames throughout this episode, and then this is our only glimpse of it, it's just... as a One Punch Man fan, it makes me sad. It makes me very sad. Because I say this as a fan, as a passionate fan of One Punch Man. I'm not hating on this episode or even critiquing it out of malice or just straight up hatred because I hate One Punch Man. I love One Punch Man. It's amazing. It's an incredible story. It deserves so much better than what it's getting. And that is why I talk about it like I do right now, because it is disappointing. We have waited years, 6+ years, to see this. And it does not feel like the wait was worth it. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Do you think it's going to get better with the next episode? Be honest in the comments below. Do you think I'm overreacting? Just be honest, tell me. But be safe, stay healthy, love you guys. Chibi out.